Hi and welcome to E-ZTutoring. Today we are going to go over how to find the number of zeros of a polynomial by just looking at the number of sign changes. This is also known as Descartes' rule of signs. So suppose we have the polynomial x to the fourth minus 6x cubed plus 12x squared plus 6x minus 13. So what you want to do is you want to split this up into two polynomials. We will split it up into the first one, which we will call f of x. And then, of course, we just rewrite all of this. X to the fourth minus 6x cubed plus 12x squared plus 6x minus 13. The other one we will split it up to, we will call f of negative x. So we'll call this one positive, and we'll call this one negative. So f of negative x simply means that we take every x and we plug in a negative x. Now, plugging in a negative x into x to the fourth will give us x to the fourth. An even exponent cancels out all the negatives. Now, if we plug in a negative x into x cubed, that'll turn x cubed negative, and since it's minus 6x cubed, that turns into plus 6x cubed. This one's even, so it stays the same. This one's odd, so it changes. And then we have the number at the end. All right, so after you split up your polynomial into f of x and f of negative x, what we are going to do now is we are going to look at the number of sign changes. So starting off with the positive one. X to the fourth is positive, and this term is negative. So it goes from positive to negative, therefore we have a sign change. And then over here you can see that it goes from a negative term to a positive term again. There is another sign change. And then over here it goes from positive to positive, so we do nothing there. And then it goes from positive to negative, so once again we have a sign change. All right, so over here we have three sign changes. Now I will go over what that means in a second, but first I would like to do f of negative x as well. Positive to positive, positive to positive, positive to negative, and negative to negative. So we have one sign change over here. All right, so what do these sign changes mean? So on the positive polynomial, if you have a sign change, that means that you have three sign changes, three possible positive zeros. Now, of course, we have to include the positive part because we are taking it from the positive polynomial. Now, we're not done yet. Your number of possible zeros, it's always going to be your number minus 2. So 3 or 1 possible positive zeros. Now, you have to continuously subtract 2 until you get to 0, or really just a negative number. So for example, if we had 7 sign changes, we could have 7 or 5 or 3 or 1 possible zeros. So you have to continuously subtract 2, and in this case we get 3 or 1. Now over here, 1, we can't subtract 2 from that. That's as low as it can get before we get into the negative numbers. So it will be just 1 possible, and now negative 0. Now say we had 2 sign changes, then it would be 2 or 0 possible zeros. All right, so we have all of our possible zeros. Now we have to take into consideration what happens if we have just one possible positive zero, because we have 3 or 1. So what happens if we have the lesser number? Well, what is our degree of this polynomial? It is 4. And that degree of 4 means that we will have 4 zeros in total. We don't know what types of zeros those are, whether they're positive or negative, until we do Descartes' rule of signs. But if we have 3 possible positive zeros, then we have 1 negative 0. If we have 1 possible positive 0, then we have 1 possible negative 0, and that's only 2 zeros. But we know that there are 4 zeros in total. So if you have 3 positive zeros and you have 1 negative 0, that makes 4 zeros and we're done. But if we have 1 positive 0 and 1 negative 0, we're only at 2 zeros. We are missing another 2 zeros. So therefore, those extra 2 zeros you will write as 2 imaginary, can't write imaginary zeros. So Descartes' rule of signs finds only the real zeros. So whenever you are missing zeros, as in it's not adding up to the degree of the polynomial, that's where you would include imaginary zeros. So this reads 3 possible positive zeros, or 1 positive 0 and 2 imaginary zeros. So these two are kind of grouped together here. All right, so that is how you use Descartes' rule of signs to figure out your number and types of zeros. Hope you guys understood this. If you guys ever want ACT or SAT help, be sure to visit www.E-ZTutoring.com. Thank you guys and have a good day.